Hello and welcome everyone. This is an interesting sort of a choice that I made when I wanted to make some content during this troubled times. And a lot of us know about champions who play international cricket, the Virat Kohli, the Rohit Sharmas, and so on and so forth. But there are even bigger champions when it comes to first-class cricket in India. The Ranji Trophy is a very celebrated championship, and you don't need to go past Mumbai to understand what a success formula is. This program will be called The Formula, where a lot of these champions have devised their own success formula and been stalwarts of the game in Ranji Trophy in Indian cricket. That is first class cricket, to be even more precise. And we have a star guest tonight, Amol Muzumdar, who's made in excess of 10,000 runs. He's been one of the most celebrated Mumbai batsmen over the years. He was, in fact, a bad luck in destiny for him not to have played for India. There have been so many such champions in that particular era where Sachins and the Rahuls and the Gangulis played for the country. Welcome, Amol. Extremely happy to have you take off this show.
Thank you very much, Ashwin. And thanks for the introduction. Thank you.
No, usually I get people introducing me and I feel embarrassed at times. So if you didn't feel like that, I'll ask.
I hope I do justice to what you said.
No, see, Amol, I mean, just to introduce and set the plate rolling, I started playing first class cricket, and very early on in my career, I came across someone like you playing against Mumbai, a very hard and intense captain that led Mumbai with so much pride. I've heard a lot about you when I used to watch on ESPN for those 20-minute snippets. But what was it like, Amol, that you were so celebrated and couldn't go on to play for the country? But how did you manage to be one of those stalwarts despite that disappointment?
See, the thing is, one aspect, what I feel, I mean, looking back at my career now, one aspect that I feel what really set me on towards the journey was that I lived my life in the present. I never looked back at things. I'm not that kind of a person who would, be sulking about. I'll maybe be disappointed about certain things, but I'm that kind of a person who would always be looking forward for something and actually enjoying that moment itself. It's very easy for people to say it, but it's very difficult to do it. But looking back at it now, at the career, I lived absolutely in the present. So I enjoyed. There was a phase in my career, Ashwin, where I felt that I was really disappointed that I could not make the cut. My first 5-6 years of Ranji Trophy cricket, I just got some snippets, and I batted with an average of around 82 for 6 years of Ranji Trophy. But it was a complete disappointment. But then I felt, then I spoke to myself, and then I thought that, yes, few people can play for India, but what I love actually is batting. So I love batting. It didn't bother me where I was batting. If I was batting for my office team here in Mumbai, whether it was for Mumbai Ranji Trophy team, whether it was my club in England or in Holland, wherever I batted, I enjoyed it. So, I enjoyed my journey right throughout. So there are no baggages behind me at all. I just enjoyed whatever I did.
No, why I asked that question was not for the baggage or anything else, but a lot of people, in my personal experience playing for my Ranji Trophy side and looking at first-class cricketers around the country, there is this tinge of wanting to play for the country all the time and not, of course, staying in the present. Like you hit the nail on the head. Sometimes it's easier to do it at the hindsight when you're done and when you're gone away. You're thinking, okay, I should be here in the present. But how difficult is it to stay in the present when you're going through that? Because a lot of people harbor this dream, right? A lot of batsmen, especially a lot of batsmen that I see, and some of the bowlers. Not to leave the bowlers aside, but it's very difficult to do that, isn't it?
It is absolutely difficult. It's not an easy thing to do. But then, ultimately, you just have to, cut out all the crap that is going around you and just get to the point straight away. That is very important. And I'm that kind of a person. I'm very open about it. If I fail, I fail. If I succeed, I succeed. There is no not too much of emotional up and down. And that was very important as far as batting was concerned with me. I didn't have those emotional up and down. And that is the reason why I stayed in the present. And I enjoyed batting. I enjoyed getting runs. And I just happened to get it. Luckily with God's grace, I could get those runs. Yeah, I mean, it was difficult to do it, but it was important for me to continue playing cricket. At one stage, I complete disappointment, and I absolutely gave up the game. I put my kit bag on top of the cupboard, and I did not appear at the ground. I just left Ranji Trophy cricket. I just left one game. I mean, I could go back on that and say it. And I came back home and I said to my wife that I don't want to play cricket anymore. I'll do something else. But then, 1 month I did not touch the bat. But then slowly my father got me back into it. And, then eventually I went on to play 10 more years.
Interestingly, not a lot of people might be knowing this, but this great partnership that Sachin Tendulkar and Vinod Kamble had for Sharda Ashram School, where they had 64 runs. You are the one padded up to go in next, right?
Yeah.
And eventually you also got your bite at the cherry where you got a debut 100. In fact, a double ton when you played the pre-quarter final. That was your debut game when Ravi Bhai went out and said, Amol is here to stay and he will play for India. Do you remember that game?
I mean, without a doubt, it's one of the most cherished moments of your life when you debut for your home state. Ravi was my hero growing up. I mean, in the 80s, he was a cult guy, isn't it? I mean, in India, Benson and Hedges, champions of champions, and all those things associated with him. Um, and I mean, 664 runs with Sachin and Vinod. Of course, I padded up for almost 2 days, but that's not my only claim to fame.
I didn't mean to say that. That was just...
I know, I'm just joking. But I got my chance. I got my chance, and I knew that I would get my chance. This was in 1988, which happened, the school game. And then eventually, after 6 years, in 93-94 season, 6 years down the line, I did get my chance. And I was determined to just to prove a point that there were 3 players who had gone for the India tour. That was Sachin Tendulkar, Sanjay Manjrekar, and Vinod Kamble. And that's one of the reasons why I played in the middle order of Mumbai. But I had made up my mind, saying to myself, I can remember it. I constantly was telling myself that I want to make a mark such that even if these 3 come back, I don't want to lose my place.
Interesting.
Probably, that got me going, and got me from my 100 to double 100. And of course, Ravi was there to help me and guide me over there at that time. But he pushed me from 100 to about 150. Then you start realizing, hang on, here's a chance to get a double 100. So I had made up my mind that I'm not going to lose my place, even if those 3 stalwarts come back from the international cricket.
Amol, now that I've given you a nice warm-up, you've taken a jog around the park. Now I'm going to kind of dwell into the real essence of what I'd like to find out here.
Right, okay.
Tell me something. You came into the celebrated Mumbai lineup, right? In fact, in those times, getting into the Mumbai lineup was as good as getting into the test team, because if you came into the Mumbai lineup, it meant that you're good. And if you performed, it meant that you were ready to play for the country. And if Mumbai decided they didn't want the Ranji Trophy, someone else could win, right? So how did this happen? How did Mumbai find this success formula with Ranji Trophy dominance?
Well, I mean, it's a massive canvas. You cannot just pinpoint on one thing that this is what Mumbai did. It's a multiple things that they did correct at that time. Just the lineage of players that came through. The history was told to us all the time. My father kept on telling me about the players of yesteryears, and it is very important as far as state cricket is concerned. And I think it applies to any team. It is very important to know who you succeed. Say for example, in Mumbai, I mean, there was a span of 16 years where they did not lose a single game. They won 16 years Ranji Trophy continuously. I mean, it's an amazing feat. And everyone should know that you are stepping into the shoes of those players who have gone on to win 16 years of Ranji Trophy at a stretch. Now you got to keep it up. You got to make sure that you at least try to emulate certain things what they have left for you. So it's very important to know that. So those were couple of things. Then it was I think the ethics were very solid. We came from terrific work ethic culture. The culture was Maidan culture. It wasn't big ground culture. I came from Shivaji Park. I grew up with Sachin and Vinod and all other players around me. We had a Maidan culture. Maidan culture is something which is very strong in Mumbai cricketing circles, in the sense that not an inch given to anyone on a cricket field. Of course, you can be a very soft, and you can have a great dialogue with anyone. You can hit a rapport with anybody. But once you step on the ground, even a Maidan cricketer, even now, I can promise you, in Mumbai, he will not give you an inch, no matter who you are. So he will fight for that, that scrap. So I grew up in that kind of a culture. So when it came to Ranji Trophy, it was just it just went through the motion and got into the culture of Mumbai dressing room. There was Ravi Shastri, a massive personality in that dressing room. There was Sachin Tendulkar, of course. I mean, enigmatic. His presence was enormous. Then there was Sanjay Manjrekar, Vinod Kamli was there. And then Dilip Vengsarkar had just left Mumbai scenes. He had retired just 1 year before I came in. So there was multiple players with tremendous background, and they demanded certain kind of play. They demanded certain kind of approach towards the game, and they did not budge an inch. So if you had to survive, you had to make sure that you are up there, in that quality of cricket, what you're playing, you're up there. And if you can't do that, you better make way for someone else who's behind. So it was just a cutthroat competition that I grew up in. And then, I just had to continue. Once these guys left, I just had to continue what they had taught me.
More, why do I get the feeling that when you're talking about Mumbai cricket, I already feel sledged? I feel like, oh my God, here I am taking on Mumbai in this Zoom call, and Amol is not giving me an inch. That's the feeling I get.
No. And it's not a case. It's just a passion about.
It is. Yeah. It comes across so wonderfully when you're talking about Mumbai cricket. It's so passionate that I can feel it, and literally I'm tearing up as you're talking about Mumbai cricket. You're saying they don't give an inch. It was senior driven. We had to give what the seniors asked from us, and if we couldn't complain. We had to move out, and all unbelievable ethics. And when you speak about the Maidan culture, I can just relate to something. I was about 8 or 9 years old when I came to Mumbai. My father had brought me over, and I was staying at a relative's place. And there is this academy that Mr. Dilip Vengsarkar runs.
Yeah.
And I had been there for one day. There was some sort of a selection. I can't remember what it was exactly. And the first time I went there, I felt lost. I felt drowned in a sea, because there were so many people, and there was about 200 to 300 kit bags that were stuck in a single line. It seemed like it was on a file. I couldn't believe myself, because if I walked into an academy in Chennai or anywhere that I am used to, I'm used to organized chaos. And this was like, oh my God, okay, you bloody well put the kit bag in the right place. Is that why you carried on as discipline to first class cricket?
Yeah, I think so. I think discipline is something that was taught to us by our seniors and also our coaches. The coaches were also instrumental, Ashwin. There were some terrific coaches in Mumbai, and we were plain lucky, to grow up in that era of some tremendous coaches. Somebody like Atsurekar sir, amazing in teaching things, how to respect the game, how to those coaches were their whole approach towards the game or coaching was towards the player development. You got to develop this player. That was their main aim. There was Anna Vaidya. There was Vasu Paranspe around. There was Vittal Patil around. Some amazing coaches. Joe Kamath, Hanuman Singh. Hanuman Singh sir was amazing to fine tune your skills. And one thing what I noticed, and it's a marked difference between the coaches then and now, is that the, those coaches, once the player developed into a good cricketer, they let it go. They let him go. They did not hold on to him. Now it's a different story. It is about, that player has to take the coach's name that he developed me. But it wasn't that case at all at that time. The coaches let that player go and feed for himself, and try and find your own feet in a higher level of cricket. So that was one big difference. Also, I feel it was just a culture that you grew up in. Terrific competition around you. As you said, uh, I, I was told always when I was a youngster that get 100. If you want to make waves, try and get 100. So it was just drilled in my mind that no 30s, 40s, 50s could get you anywhere. You get 100. And just before I made my Ranji Trophy debut, there was Sandeep Patil, my first captain, Sangres Mafatal, my first captain. It was about 92 or 93 I'm talking about. And he just irked me very badly, And this was his style of getting the best out of players. It just irked me. And he said, "What are you getting hundreds?" And I was getting hundreds in junior cricket. I was getting literally 100 every game, every alternate game. I was getting 100. So he irked me. What are you getting 100 for? 100 to everyone gets it. Yeah? There are a sea of people who are getting hundreds. If you want to make something, if you have, I can't say it on Zoom call now, the words that he used, but he really got me going. He said, get a double hundred if you have guts. So that really got me going. And again, I remembered that I can't be satisfied with 100, and it helped me in my debut. So there were some particular things which just get you going in your career, and those were a few things.
No, in fact, I'm so glued to this because I don't want to even ask any questions. You're giving me so much. But tell me, Amol, there are few aspects of the game that every state needs, right? For example, a good infrastructure, a, a good set of players, a good history. Like you said, the history was taught. Mumbai cricket history was taught. Like they say, when the child is in the womb of the mother, they speak about patriotism. They speak about the country, so on and so forth. So that is probably inbuilt into you guys as, okay, this is Mumbai cricket and we all stand up for it first and then comes India. Is it safe to say that Mumbai comes first and then comes India?
It's a tough one. But Mumbai players, I don't think Mumbai comes first. I think India comes first for Mumbai. Obviously, the thing is, why I'm saying it is that we always, there was a unwritten rule in Mumbai cricket that if you're good enough as an India player, you get a chance for Mumbai.
Nicely.
Simple. Yeah. So it was just the other way around. If you're an India material, you get a chance to play for Mumbai.
There is a reason I asked that question, because if you look at first class cricket around the world, county championships and Ranji Trophy, sort of the fulcrum of how first class cricket sits around the world. In all the other countries, the number of teams that represent first class cricket is so little. But there is a theme, Yorkshire and Mumbai. Okay, Yorkshire wins, and Yorkshire seniors, be it Jeffrey Boycott, be it so on and so forth, they speak about Yorkshire cricket so fondly. When you look at Mumbai cricket, the Mumbai cricketers of the past speak Mumbai cricket so fondly. So that's exactly why I asked the question. It is not to understand whether which comes superior to one, but that is also a part of building on the discipline and history for the state.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'll give you a small example of Sachin Tendulkar, 2006 and 7. Well, he was, I mean, as you know, I don't know what year, it was 18th, 19th year of him playing international cricket. We were playing finals here at Wankhede. versus Bengal. And he came the previous night and he called me in his room, and I was leading 2006 and 7. I was leading Mumbai, and I asked him, "Do you want to lead?" He said, "No, no, 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 just lead." I said, "Fine." So the next thing what he did was he called. It was about 10:30 at night. He called up the MCA official at 10:30 at night, and he said, "I need you to put my Mumbai colored shirts tomorrow on my seat. I need to see it at 7 o'clock in the morning." So when we arrived at Wankhede in at 7:30 in the morning of the finals, his he did not wear anything else other than the Mumbai shirts. So now it would have been easy for him to just pass on with the warm-ups with his India shirts and whatever he wanted to. But he made sure that he wore the Mumbai colors. So that gave me a feeling that in spite of him being Sachin Tendulkar or whoever, I mean the greatest player the game has seen, he still wants to perform and play for Mumbai. He still wants to wear those Mumbai colors. I mean there must be something that will be going on in his mind. So I guess a sense of belonging is there in that dressing room. We all grew up as in fact all the guys, we are great friends of the 90s, whoever I grew up with. We are great friends. And in fact, we had a Zoom call yesterday late at night. All of us, all 15 of us were on the call. And we have that probably once in a month or something. And it's brilliant. Just brilliant. Pulling each other's legs. I mean, it was just fun. 2 hours of laughter, nothing else.
Right, Amol, that's very interesting. Now I'm going to get into a little bit of specifics. I understand what Mumbai cricket stands for to a certain degree. Looking at from the past and looking at how you guys speak about it, it's quite it's amazing to listen to it. Tell me something. When you talk about infrastructure, there is so much cricket being played on red soil pitches. Isn't that right, Amol?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so how does a red soil pitch compare to a black soil pitch that you get in Ranji Trophy in many venues?
See, I think red soil pitches are something where it's a very local kind of sort of a soil. It comes just outskirts of Mumbai. It comes in, and every year it gets put in all the maidans. You'll get those. It's a typical maidan pitch where you get red soil surface where it turns a little bit and it grips a little bit as well. Now it is useful for the fast bowlers who get a little bit of carry and a little bit of deviation as well in the morning, where with a little bit of dew on it. So they get a little bit of help from the red soil surface, and also the spinners get a lot of purchase, as you very well know it. Where you get that grip. Once you get that grip, you know for a fact that you are in the game. But it also, for a batsman, it gives a kick to the batsman as well, that here is a challenge. And also, if you enjoy the bounce in the surface, the over the top shots also could be played on this kind of a surface. And when you get 100, trust me, when you get 100 I don't know about it now because I've retired for so many years now. But when I got 100 at Wankhede Stadium, it gave me a great feeling and an honest feeling when I went back to my hotel room that I've done something today. I've really played well today, because you had to be really honest to get 100 on a red soil surface pitch. So I think compared to anywhere else, I enjoyed playing in Chennai as well, where there was a little bit of red soil. But compared to anywhere else, any other venue in India, I think there's not much of bounce there. It's a difficult one in the sense that where you get a little bit of low bounce, you tend to adjust. You go a little bit early there and try and get used to that bounce. It's hard to get from a low bounce surface to a high bounce surface on a red soil. It's harder that way than going the other way around.
Is it safe to say that because there is so much cricket being played on red soil, the batsmanship is also better when it comes to the cricketers who are adapted to this sort of bounce in Mumbai?
I think so. I think so. They're kept honest. Every club cricketer is kept honest. He won't get 100 unless he digs in. He won't get 100 unless he really bats well. He really leaves those ball outside off stump, and plays to his strength. I think that's one of the things. Yeah, you brought up a very important factor in Mumbai cricket, that it's important to play on good surfaces where there is a little bit of purchase for the bowler. There's something for the bowler, and if you get 100 or get some runs on a red soil surface, I think it is quite good. I mean, that's one way to perform really well.
No, because why I asked that was people who enjoy bounce, they get runs faster on a red soil pitch. If you look at the history of Mumbai cricket, let's say Wasim Jafar, even Sachin Tendulkar is not someone that I'm going to talk about at all. Vinod Kambli, yourself, then Amit Pagnis, and Rohit Sharma. A lot of these players, and now off late Sarfaraz Khan, a lot of these players are touch players, aren't they? So is it that factor where the ball comes on nicely that they are able to immediately make the transition to international cricket?
I think so. The bounce, if you're used to the bounce, you tend to play on the back foot a little bit more. And, when you play on the back foot, as you know, at international cricket is not many balls will get to drive on the front foot. So basically, if you're used to or you were brought up on these kind of surfaces, you're good at the horizontal bat shots as well. And once you're good at those shots, then international cricket, I think, I mean, I cannot say because I cannot vouch about it at all. But, whatever international cricket I played against quality bowlers, against Australia I played here, you had to be good on the back foot. You had to play the cut shots. The horizontal bat shots come into play. And I guess that's one of the reasons why when you go to international cricket, you can adapt to it quicker.
In fact, my next question was going to be the adaptability between black and red soil, but you already hit the nail on the head when you spoke about how it's easier to go from high bounce to low bounce. But what is it that sets Mumbai cricket apart in terms of winning titles? Is there like a theme? Is there a way you guys practice together before the tournament? Is there like a conditioning camp, or are there certain basic rules that you go in with every time you start a campaign? What is it? Is there accountability from the players?
Yes, in one sense. Of course, there is accountability. It's an unwritten rule in Mumbai cricket that if you don't win the Ranji Trophy title, either the coach changes or the captain changes. So it's a failure. It's as simple as that. I mean, if you don't win Ranji Trophy, if you go around in the city, if you come across any cricketer, what are you guys doing here? How did you lose to the? You will be told. You will be irked. So there are certain things. I think when I was playing for Mumbai, there was a lot of planning that went into it. A lot of planning, preparation was fantastic, according to the opposition. As I said earlier, we just cut the crap out of it, and just if we were playing Karnataka, we focused on whoever the bowlers were and practiced accordingly. So the preparation was thorough. Planning, preparation. The quality of players also is important, Ashwin. Around you. They just lift your standard. The quality around me when I was playing for Mumbai, it was just fantastic. I mean, there was Sairaj, Bautule, there was Ramesh, there was Ajit Agarkar. Competitive, boss, competitive. So those players were important, and there was somebody to drive the goal. That's very important. You can have talented players around you, but if there is no leader who drives that goal, it could be the coach, it could be the captain. Whoever he is, he needs to be driving that ship. You got to go in certain way towards the title. So I think that is very important. And one aspect which I feel it was very important is that we wanted to get back into the dressing room after the off season. That was one thing. There was a big layoff, and we did not meet each other. say for example, now I can give it is Sairaj or Nilesh or Ajit. I did not meet them up after April. April to September, I had my own life. I had my own time. I went to England. I played cricket there, and I did not meet them. But then there was an urge. Come September, there was an urge to get back into the dressing room and meet those players and come together again. So there was a layoff, and that's critical. I feel that now when I look back at it, that is very critical, because then that camaraderie is retained. There's not it's a you hit off immediately. You feel that, oh, I have not met Ajit for a long time. I need to ask him a certain things. What did you do? What was this that? So it's very important to have a layoff and then come back. So there were certain things which were very team driven. Certain things, planning, as I said, there were a lot of dinners and a lot of these outings that we went to, and so it was very thoroughly planned, and the preparation used to be fantastic.
That's way ahead of its times, Amol, I must say. I must confess.
Yeah.
But I mean, Amol, I was recently watching one of these Syed Mushtaq Ali tournaments last year. I think you were on air commentating on it in Surat. And you were talking about how the quality of playing against spin was diminishing, was fast diminishing. Can you shed some light on it?
Just a feel that I get, Ashwin. I mean, I would love to listen to you also on this. That in the last 5-6 years, whatever I've seen, the quality of spinners, and leaving aside the India bowlers at the moment, just the domestic bowlers and the bowlers who are coming through, they're not spinning the ball as much as what they should be doing. They're just, they're pushing it through. And that is why I feel that when they don't spin the ball in the air, they won't get the turn or purchase of the surface. They won't have the dip, as all those things, all the factors that are involved when you actually go on to spin the ball. And that's why I feel the countering that, as a batsman, you're not facing that quality all the time. You're not facing it. And once you don't face it, well, you're stuck when somebody, if Ashwin comes against somebody, you're stuck because you have not seen somebody spin that ball as hard as what Ashwin does or Jadeja does. He's got that accuracy. Then you're stuck. That's why I feel it is very important for BCCI to make sure that we keep churning out these spinners. Who after Ashwin? Who after Jadeja? Who after Kuldeep Yadav? There has to be a cycle all the time. There were 4 greats that played. Those guys played in 60s, 70s, and 80s. But after that, there was sea of spinners in Ranji Trophy cricket, where every state team had a class spinner. And so the batting against spinner was equal, or to counter it, people had to make adjustments. So I think that was my point when I went on air to say that batting against spinners is diminishing because they're not facing that kind of spin.
I'm just giving my 5 cents on it. Not that it could be right,
no, I would love to.
I personally feel the lesser amount of red soil pitches that are coming into the equation is playing a role here. When we were playing in Surat, there was red soil wickets that were spinning, and red soil pitches will have bounce and spin if spun. But there needs to be some fillip for these spinners, right? We started touring abroad because we started losing. We went to the other extreme of having extremely good seaming pitches where just bowlers came in and just dropped the ball and made it difficult for batsmen to face. The test centers, which were Bangalore, Chennai, Mumbai, all these were red soil wickets, whereas Delhi had its own flavor, Eden had its own flavor, Kanpur had its own flavor. I think that particular acumen is gone out of first class cricket window a little bit. And the increasing number of the clay soil wickets are much easier to manage for the curators. So they just need to water it and let it go. And once that happens, the fillip for the spinner is lost. Because what happens on a clay wicket is you need to be able to use angles, spin the ball massively, and still not see a result at the other end and still be patient. It is a lot of hard work. And the point that you mentioned first, the number of amazing coaches that were there who used to keep drilling these bits, saying, there will be no rewards, but you have to be patient where your role will come. And I had a great mentor when I started playing first class cricket in W.V. Raman. He used to tell me what it was to play as a spinner at first class level. So I think it is a combination of all of this. And it could well be the factor that there are spinners who are good enough good wickets for them to be able to get this bounce. Because for a spinner, I feel it's all about bounce more than spin.
Absolutely. And I also feel, there is one point which I always try to make it on air also. I've said this, I think, that, instead of having 4-day matches, Ranji Trophy, have 5-day games. There is nothing called 4-day game. Tell me, there are only 3 versions of the game, isn't it? Test match, 1 day, and T20. What is this 4-day game? You add one more day, and you see the results. You will see the spinners coming back in action. And I'll tell you why. One is 5th day pitch. They would be encouraged to bowl on that. And so the batting will improve on a 5th day pitch. That is another factor. The third is the captain will be forced to play 2 spinners. Am I right or wrong? You tell me.
Absolutely right. Because that was going to be my death nail question of sorts to you when I led into the final way. See, when you guys won Ranji Trophy, right? It literally seemed like a joke. You had a history of fast bowlers. You had 5 bowlers going in all the time. Under you and post you, and even, I'm not sure about now, but before you as well, you had Ramesh Pawar and Nilesh Kulkarni and a Sairaj Bahutale, right? And then you had Ajit Agarkar, Paras Mahambre, Abhi Kuruvilla, and Salil Ankola. Yeah, whatever. So this sort of an attack, you were perennially playing 5 bowlers. And I remember a Ranji Trophy final where you were playing Tamil Nadu. You conceded the lead, and Ramesh Pawar came in second innings and got a fifer, and it was a 5-day game again. And trust me, Amol, I've felt it more than anyone else. Playing 4-day cricket preps me, but playing that extra day is a completely different ball game. So how do you consider handling of spin in the modern era of captains? How do you consider their handling of bowlers in the first place? Is that critical in winning a Ranji Trophy?
Very critical. I feel it is the most important thing. For fast bowlers will come into action on the first day and in the first innings. The second innings, even if you're playing a league game, you would love to win an outright, isn't it? So gain maximum points. How would you win an outright win? Unless and until the spinners come into play on the 3rd and the 4th day. Only then you will get those 20 wickets. So my whole theory is that add 1 more day to Ranji Trophy, and then you will see the results. You don't have to doctor pitches. You don't have to have the curators are forced to have sometimes, they do prepare unprepared wickets, because in a 4-day game, it's not for top sides. It's not easy to get an outright result. So either it finishes in 2 days or it is a lame draw.
Correct.
So he's not a magician to produce a result-oriented wicket in a 4-day game. But you add a 5th day to the Ranji Trophy, and things would be happier. And the captains would be forced to play 3 seamers or 2 seamers and 1 all-rounder, seeming all-rounder, and 2 genuine spinners. You said it right. We won Ranji Trophy very regularly. We won Ranji Trophy because of those 3 spinners: Ramesh Pawar, Nilesh Kulkarni. In fact, 4 spinners: Ramesh Pawar, Nilesh Kulkarni, Sairaj Bahutale, and Rajesh Pawar. We had the left-arm spinners. So yeah. So it was very important for the captain, and the captains would go on to get the wickets prepared in such ways, which helps the spinners a little bit. And I feel that it is very important for India to manage this correctly, because I can see the shift. The momentum has shifted towards fast bowlers. Clearly it has shifted, and I have said this on air that you have produced fast bowling pitches for the last 8-9 years, and you're seeing results. Absolutely, that's great. But don't forget the spinners, because our quality, because our traditionally we have produced some world-class spinners, including you. So, we cannot afford to ignore one aspect of the game when we are promoting the other aspect of the game. It has to find a great balance.
I can't. We are just about getting done, Amol. Just the final question from my side before we close this chapter of Formula. Um, what do you think is that one aspect as a captain that you're looking forward to in a spinner? Do you want him to hold an end tight? When do you remove him of the attack? Because I've played with some young captains, some test captains, a lot of captains through my career. And the modern day trend is that if I go for a boundary or a six, I'm off the attack. So what are you looking for from a spinner? When do you get upset with him? And when are you going to keep him going?
For a spinner, a captain is a pivotal guy on the field. A captain is the most important guy on the field for him. Purely because, see, when I'm batting, my captain is not important. When I'm batting, I'm batting. But for a spinner, my captain is important because I have to win the trust of that captain first. And as a captain, I'll explain this. As a captain, I would feel that spinner, I won't get upset on him. I would get only upset on him if he doesn't stick to his plan. Say, for example, if he tells me that he is going to bowl, an odd occasion here and there, it can happen. But he's constantly bowling. If he's bowling for a drivable length and I've set a field for it and he's bowling it short and by pushing it through, then I would get upset on him. But it's a very important thing to have a good captain to produce a good spinner. You will see that all great spinners must be having a good captain around them. It is important. There's no doubt in my mind about it. And I think one thing, one aspect, what I would be looking into a spinner is bada dilwala chahiye. Dilwala. If he has a heart, I don't care whether he goes for 4 or 6 or if he has a heart for me to win the game, I would bank him and I would back him to the hilt. End tak leke jayega usko. Dil chahiye, dil. I mean, this is yeah. I don't know. I mean, you're a champion spinner. You know for a fact that it has to be from the heart. If he has a big heart, you're done.
Of course, you hit the nail on the head, Amol, because I asked that question specifically because when a batsman steps out and hits me for a six, a spinner, any spinner, forget about me, hits me for a six, the ability to gauge whether it's a high-risk shot or if it is a good shot versus what the pitch is offering is completely gone out of the game. The captains are seeing the scoreboard and basically looking at the economy rate and keeping it under a 3-run point, and that's where first-class cricket is headed. And that's exactly why the first-class cricket, when I play test cricket and come back to first-class cricket, sure, there is going to be a change in the pattern of play, the pace of play, but I find a massive drop in the intensity of play. And that's because they're not able to gauge those situations. So I've always felt running a Ranji Trophy team and winning a Ranji Trophy team, like you hit the nail on the head, is all about history, managing the team really well, having a goal, and then having great plans in place. And this has been a learning for me, Amol, because for me, it's all been about how do you win a Ranji Trophy. I've been in this. I've been in several semi-finals, been to a final, played for India, watched my team in the final, and not crossed the final hurdle. So I've really embarked on this journey to find out from all of you that where is that formula that we can identify from. Thank you so much for joining me on this show, Amol. It was a cracking show. And thank you so much.
It's a pleasure talking to a champion player.
Thank you, Amol.